Well, it's partly too because I've made the case that there are differences between men and women.
Yes.
But like why that isn't a feminist case is beyond me. It's like, no, they're exactly the same. It's like,
ridiculous.
no, they're not.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
And it's
confusing.
Ridiculous. It's confusing.
Yes. Purposefully confusing.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, the data are in. So look, and people have accused me of pseudoscience, which I really think is quite comical because the studies that I'm reporting aren't.
Who's accused you of pseudoscience?
Oh God, journalists of all stripes, especially when I talk about differences between men and women. It's like, oh, that's pseudoscience. It's like, actually, no, it's not. It's bloody mainstream science, both biology and psychology.
But why do they like to do that?
Well, because it seems to be there's a reason that goes along with the radical leftist agenda that if there are, that a world of equality of outcome could not be achieved, and that's the desirable world, if there are actually differences between people, actual differences. Like that aren't just socio-culturally constructed so that you could gerrymander them. There's also something as well. If you're really power mad, you want to believe that human beings are infinitely malleable because then you can mold them in whatever image you want. So now, there are personality differences between men and women. Now, the first thing we might point out is they're not that big. So if you draw a random woman and a random man out of the population and you had to bet on who was most aggressive, least agreeable, and you bet on the woman, you'd be right 40% of the time. Which is actually quite a lot. You'd be right quite a lot. But if you take the 1 in 100 person who's most aggressive, least agreeable, there's an overwhelming probability that they'll be male because the differences get more extreme at the ends of the distribution. People don't understand the statistics. You can have two populations that are quite similar and still have radically dissimilar outcomes if only the extremes matter. So like, who are the most powerful physical fighters in the world? Men. All of them. Well, does that mean that there are no women who can beat a man in a fight? No. It also doesn't mean that there's plenty of women who are more aggressive than men. But if you take the most aggressive, physically powerful people, they're all men. All of them. Because they're like 1 in 1,000 people or 1 in 10,000 people. Isn't it lovely that the mother grizzly bear takes care of her cubs? Yeah, it's lovely, man. Till you get between her and her cubs. Then it's not so damn lovely. And that's the flip side of that affiliative agreeableness. It's like if you're on my side, if you're the infant who's sheltering under my wings, it's like I'm the absolute epitome of maternal love and care. But if I've identified you as a predator, you better look the hell out. And that's playing out in our political landscape at a very, very rapid rate. That's the female side of totalitarianism as far as I can tell. The feminine side of totalitarianism. And it's not just that. It's not just that agreeableness motivates aggression, because it certainly does. It's also that the envious and the resentful can use compassion as a camouflage for their true intent, which is to tear down anyone who has more than them. Like, should every elementary school teacher be female? Should every psychologist be female? Because that's what's happening. And the answer to that is, well, I don't know. But there's another answer, which is, well, what do you propose as an alternative to free choice that isn't going to cause more trouble than free choice? Because I would say, well, okay, let's say I'm a feminist for the sake of argument. All right, so I think, well, there are differences between men and women. There are actual differences. And so some of those are biological. Some of them are strategic in some sense, because women pay a bigger price for reproduction, and so that's going to lead them to make different choices. That's just rational, it's rationality based on biological differences. So it's like a second-order biological difference. There's differences in temperament and interest. It's going to lead them to make different choices. Is that a pro-feminist stance or an anti-feminist stance? It's only anti-feminist if you assume everyone has to be exactly the same and the outcomes have to be exactly the same. I'm not saying that women shouldn't be allowed to wear makeup in the workplace. I said that explicitly. Yeah, well, I think the Vice people actually released it, but other people took the full release and clipped it with the clipped release and showed how it was being misrepresented.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. But so, okay, so the makeup thing, it's like, all right, look, first of all, I make a mistake sometimes in treating journalists like I would treat my graduate students. So when I'm having a conversation with my students and we say, well, here's a problem.
It's an intellectual exercise.
A sexual behavior. How do we regulate? What are the norms around sexual behavior in the workplace? So that's the question. It's a question. We don't know. Okay, here's a bunch of possibilities, possible rules, right? No flirting, no hugging, no eye contact for more than 5 seconds. That's Netflix, right? what are the rules governing sexual behavior in the workplace? Okay, can you come to work in a negligee? No. How about boxers if you're a man? No. Okay, so there's some...
What about a short skirt?
Well, this is the thing. The devil's in the bloody details, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can't come to work naked. You can't come to work in boxer shorts. You can come to work in a suit. Okay, so the line is somewhere between boxers and suit. Where exactly is the line? Exactly.
Can a man wear shorts?
Well,
if he can't,
look,
why can a woman wear a dress?
The way that men, in professional organizations, the way that men solved this problem was that everyone wore a uniform. Women wear makeup because they want to look good.